aka Geeks.
Hey everybody, welcome to aka Geeks. This is our Walking Dead breakdown review. With me I have Lynn.
What's up everybody?
And I am Sean, of course. This past week's episode was titled The Lost and the Plunderers. Episode 2 of the second half of the season, correct? Right?
Episode 10, 2 of the midway, and episode 10 altogether.
Yeah, the second episode of the second half, and 10 altogether.
Yeah.
Here's a quick little breakdown of what describing the episode. Groups unite their forces and converge on the hilltop. Aaron and Enid search for allies. Simon takes matters into his own hands. All right, Lynn, what do you think of this episode? Let's start off with the stuff going on with Enid and Aaron, since I just mentioned them right now.
Not important to me. For some reason, I expected a bigger payoff from Enid and Aaron, and I obviously didn't get that. And the reason why is because she says, "Oh, they told us not to go back in there. Well, I'm going right back in there."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I didn't. It wasn't. That was a throwaway for me.
That one did feel like it was taking it was just taking up time for the episode.
Hold
to
on,
fill in.
where are you hiding? I'm sorry, I hate to cut that. My wife just came to me and where are these from?
I tried to get them for our anniversary, but
So a little belated anniversary thing.
Oh, tum tums, or what are they called?
Zoom zooms.
Zoom zooms.
Yeah.
Tum tums.
Tum tums. All right, back to Walking Dead. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I feel like how you feel. This was one of those segments of this episode that was just there for filler.
Yeah.
It was, cause like, I don't know what's gonna come from this, where Cindy makes the decision to not kill them. What comes out of it, and all they're doing is Enid's leaving, then Aaron is staying. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they could have. It was there was a bit of a back and forth there that almost
Didn't make sense, especially after Cindy says, "Don't come back here." And what's Aaron said? "Well, I'm going right back there."
But also, just because like it would have been better fit if there was more to it. It felt like it was like part of a bigger thing. That
Exactly. That's exactly what I mean.
They cut it in half and shoved it in here, where it's like, all right, well, that wasn't enthralling. The dialogue wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't like there wasn't any part of their experience there that was.
And it was sort of rushed if you think about it, because last episode was it last
week's episode?
Yeah, last episode with Carl's death, and they briefly showed them for that snippet. They've only been captured for a little bit. They've already been judged and what have you, and then out of nowhere, oh, we're letting you go.
Yeah, it was like it went from nighttime when they got caught to daytime
The following day, yeah.
Yeah, all within if you put it all together, what,
About
5 minutes?
Yeah, if I'd say 15 minutes at the most.
Yeah, which they could have probably used that time for something else, I think. So I want to know, why did they shove this into this episode?
Yeah.
To me, it didn't seem too important to this week's episode. I do get the point that Enid, last time killed the grandmother. That is important.
Yeah.
But what was going on with this seemed like it should have been along with something else.
And the grandmother's death was a complete throwaway now, because Cindy just said, "Oh, we're gonna let you go and fight your fight, but don't come back here."
And as far as we know, it doesn't wake them up to being like,
no,
we need to stop being so fast to kill somebody when we don't know whether they're an enemy or a friend. It doesn't even change that thought process.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, this was just filler. That's how I felt for this part of this episode. I actually like Ross Marquand, who plays Aaron. I like him as an actor, so I want to see Aaron like survive, and I want to see his character grow. I like his character.
Well, you and I know he's supposed to, but now we're in a complete cluster because we have no idea what they're going to do.
With this mid-season starting the second half, they've kind of thrown everything on its head.
Yeah. Now I'm back to not trusting my senses.
Yeah.
As far as the big picture, I could understand the smaller pictures getting changed, but with the death of Carl, the complete landscape for me has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, if you deviate from that, which is key, what else? I mean, something like Aaron is not as key, and he could be gone next episode for all we know.
Yeah, he could be gone in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Let me before we go too far, what did you think about this whole setup with this episode where they put someone's name on the screen, and then I felt like I knew what they were trying to do, but I still felt like it was badly done.
In comparison to the earlier episodes, like the start of the season, when they were character focused on 4 different characters, we didn't need to know who you're. By this point, nobody needs to know who the character is. So seeing the names come up, especially when you jump like from Michonne to
and who else was it? It was Enid, Michonne, Negan, and Rick.
Yeah, and that's it.
The thing is, like, I thought it was poorly done because
I thought it was bad editing for me because I thought that, these were placeholders that they just forgot to take out.
I thought that they were gonna, with these names, we're gonna show some development in those characters, and I felt like they didn't do the focus. They didn't focus enough on those individual characters. Like when they said Enid at the beginning, it was kind of a combination of Aaron and Enid. When they said Michonne at the beginning, it was like that majority of that first scene was Rick over there by the cross. Remember?
Yeah, but yeah. But
it was supposed to be Michonne.
But like, Michonne's thing was the flashback with Carl, and I think her key moment of that was that seeing the house with the handprints.
Yeah, and so the whole thing was they shouldn't have. I disagreed with the way that they're trying to give us this episode with the whole names before the scene.
I disagree with that as well, because I think with Michonne's whole interaction with that and why the focus was supposed to be on her was because she was trying to get Rick to turn over to follow what Carl was saying. At the same time, trying to get Rick to read the letters, and trying to bring him back or what have you. But
at the same time, they were still also focusing a lot on Rick, and I felt like.
But that was because we were looking at. I think we were supposed to look at it from her standpoint. So where she's focused on Rick, then we should be focused on Rick. You know what I mean? I just
saying, but I think it's a method that they didn't use well.
Right. I mean, I saw it that way. I just thought the name thing was just like a cheap thing that didn't be needed.
Yeah, like I've seen it done better in other things. I mean, in other episodes of The Walking Dead, they've done it
without the names. Is what I mean.
Yeah.
When we've done the character profiles, which as I mentioned.
Yeah, or you see like the side of their face with shadow or something, then it moves away or something. They've done it better.
Yeah.
And I felt like this whole editing chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thing with names didn't work very well. So we're going back now. We're talking about Michonne a little bit, and that section, also Rick and how they're focusing on Rick and Negan as well, and Enid. They also focus on Jadis as well, but I don't remember them doing a name for Jadis. Did they?
No.
Okay. We'll get to Jadis last because there's something in there that we'll focus on specifically. But with Negan and he's talking to Rick, with that whole interaction when they actually go to Negan, what did you take from that conversation he had with Rick where it seemed like he actually felt something when he heard that Carl died, but then he throws it right in Rick's face saying it's your fault.
Yeah, but he's got to remember, I thought it was such a great double standard because he's trying to clean himself off, because no matter what, Rick was doing what he was doing for his people. But if Negan wasn't so forcefully a dickhead, then Rick would have to. So, no, it's not Rick's fault that Carl died. It's your fault that you had to push Rick to this level.
Yeah.
And
I think there's blame on both sides.
Yeah.
Trying to make him the scapegoat, and in this moment of weakness for Rick, because he's dealing with his son dying.
Yeah.
Do you think Negan's feelings, though, because his tone of voice and his personality changed entirely when he heard Carl died? Do you think that was like legitimate? Yeah,
because that goes. We're getting the conversations that Carl and him had in the jail cells without having him and Carl having the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's transferred over to now Negan and Rick, which to me that's going to cheapen it because now we won't see that. Well, we might still get the fist on fist battle between the two of them.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be as strong because of the grief. At least someone's not going to be fully into it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like that for that aspect. It's going to be hard to go. I mean, when we get to this point in the comic books, Rick is very defined of what we know. We knew what he was doing for the most part, and that battle, you know, he did it to win the battle, but also he did it to stop things, right?
Yeah.
And now we are talking about which I don't see how that's going to be very difficult to do, I think. And then with the whole conversation that now Rick is going to possibly be taking over with Negan versus Carl with Negan, that kind of also blurs the line with where Rick starts and Rick ends. Now is Rick like absorbing that like personality or something? You know what I mean?
And I thought Rick in this episode, Rick did not take into what Carl told him, what Carl asked him to do. He's completely defiant of everything that Carl asked him. And I'm like, you just had this thought-provoking thing come from your dying son, and you just flushed it down the toilet.
In one ear, out the other.
Yeah. I'm like, and I'm hoping that because he still hasn't read his letter. He only read Negan's to our vantage point.
Well, and he does say that he told me to stop as well, but that doesn't say that he read it.
Right, because he told him to stop when he was giving him all that. When they were talking, he wanted him to stop this. But he still hasn't read his letter, so I think that'll bring him about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also think it was legitimate. I think that they're trying to show us some of that relationship bond that Carl and Negan had.
Yeah, because he even said that, you know, that kid was built for this world.
And he was the future. He was the future. I think that because they killed Carl, because of whatever reasons they wanted to kill Carl,
fucked up idea.
They're now going to have to force some of these moments upon Rick and other people, and they might not all fit.
Yeah.
Opinion. I definitely want to see where the dynamic's going to go with Rick and Negan, though. I'm wondering what's going to happen here with that dynamic. Michonne and Rick. So we're talking about that a little bit, about Michonne trying to tell Rick to read the letters and think of it this way and whatnot. How do you feel like her reaction blended with Rick's reaction? Do you think they did a good job with that stuff?
Yeah, because for one, it's sort of yin and yang. Because where she actually took to heart what Carl said, and she was more the parent in this episode than what Rick should be. Like, she is what Rick should have been.
Yes, and remember, like, I was thinking of this while I was watching. I was thinking, Michonne's character has changed a lot from where she came, right? But there was a certain point, like right before this whole thing started happening, where I kind of felt like we're kind of losing her character, like a perspective that's specific to her, and I liked her argument of what she was trying to argue for based on her feelings, her relationship with Carl.
Yeah,
and I felt like there's some of that arc that we've seen Michonne get to this point now, and she's able to do this. And it was nice for me to see that again, because it reminded me, like, okay, it's not just somebody typing up dialogue for random characters. That's her character, and it's Rick's character, and it felt good to see that. So I felt like that dialogue was well done.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So the biggest, I guess, surprise, or the biggest moment in the episode this last week, Simon, you know, is arguing with Negan about what to do. He feels very vehemently that one way versus what Negan is saying the other way.
I was not surprised. I don't know why you thought that.
No, exactly. We talked about it last week, you know, of which way is he going to go. Is he going to be defiant? Is he going to do what he wants to do? Is he going to just kill some people? And
that he did.
He went to see Jadis to do the standard, what do they call it? The standard apology? Not the standard apology, the standard message?
Yeah, the standard message, which of course is bash somebody in and make them follow suit.
And they all fall in line.
Yeah.
And but he went there looking for a reason to mess some people up.
Yeah.
Jadis is still, and this is what I've hated about the trash people, the hipsters, is that they've had this persona of they don't have to just be a normal person anymore. They can just talk with this language where they get rid of vowels and freaking pronouns or whatever, you know. And I've been very like, you're faking it, you know. And then in this episode, we kind of see that come to fruition a little bit, which their faking it caused Simon to do what he did, you know, right? That's what I feel.
No, I think. See,
not entirely, but somewhat.
I think that where I got pissed off is how easily she gave up the guns, but at the same time, after giving up the guns, she feels she's going to be defiant. Like, why were you thinking that when you have no leg to stand on anymore?
That's why, and that's part of my reasoning behind the whole thing is that they're just faking it. It's like, be realistic with yourself about what's happening right now in front of you.
Yeah.
And just like if she was just talk normal to Simon, in that moment they could have all killed Simon and his men, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think they were of equal numbers, and it would have been a good. And considering that they were already prepped for Simon and the guys,
yep.
And they had home field advantage, I'm pretty sure more of them would have survived in comparison.
Yep. So Simon looks for anything to do to get mad. She's over here doing her faking it till you make it thing. She's defiant after she gives up their guns, and Simon looks for any reason after she punches him. That's the reason he needed. He then tells them to light him up, and they kill all of the heapsters except for Jadis.
Yeah.
How'd you feel in that moment? I loved how it was focusing on Jadis, and just you hear all the gunshots going off. I liked that moment. It was like a resounding moment for me, at least.
I think she was done. Not when everybody else was dead, but when her two partners were dead. Mm-hmm. And yeah. I don't know if they were. In my knowledge, I always saw them as intimate partners, both the older gentleman and the one woman.
You don't mean intimate like sexually, but
I think I meant relationship wise, because of how the junk pile people were, and how she was very loose towards Rick. So I think that was like, she's the queen, so she's able to get whoever she pleases. But those two were primarily hers, her closest people that she could deal with and trust or what have you, and always fall back to.
I'm gonna say I don't think it was intimate sexually, but
I think it was intimate in all ways.
Intimate in relationship, like her lieutenants.
Oh, I think overall, personally, and business-esque. I think it's a little bit of everything. It's why those two deaths struck her harder than anything else. And reason why I bring this up, and I told Susan that night, we're going to see her again.
Oh yeah.
And the reason why I bring up that psychology is prevalent for the Whisperers. That's all I'm going to say. And that's why I think more than just lieutenants.
That's what I was thinking, is like some of this aspect of their persona, this group, is kind of like the Whisperers.
Yeah. Plus, there's something else that they teased, but they didn't dive into. That they need to go. I was like, what? And it's when Janice and Rick were talking, and he asks about the helicopter pad.
Well, Simon brings it up.
Simon.
Simon says, "What is that? A helipad?"
Yeah, and there's something else behind.
Yeah, and solar panels as well, and she just kind of brushes it off. So it's just junk, I wanted to get into that later, but So that throws us back to a few episodes ago, when Rick is walking down the road and catches a helicopter flyover. So we're wondering where that's going to go to in the future. So keeping with Jadis for right now, after all this is said and done, Rick and Michonne go there to go see them, to talk to them, to say like, hey, heads up, they might be coming after you. Let's make work on this, right?
Yeah.
And they come to find all the walkers, all of Jadis' people, and Jadis is broken. She's in a freaking
90.
down. a 90, and she's just broken. And she forgoes the whole faking it till you make it kind of thing. I like the fact that she finally got real and started being who she was as a person. And now she starts speaking.
Yeah, she was speaking that broken English.
Yeah, and that stuff, like, see, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that stuff, it caused her to be thinking other ways as well, and that caused those other things. Not entirely, but I think it led somewhat to the killing of all her people. I think in some way. And so she's like wanting to go with them. What do you think about this? Do you think they should have allowed her to go with them?
I think
they should have allowed her.
My opinion, she would have been useful.
I think so too. I think that she has some talents.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are, but they've been able to survive. I think she has talents, or knowledge, or information. And
I see her more like Ezekiel. If you want to know, because this is another person who also acted a different way to keep his people in a certain way. So now she devolved herself and her people to act a certain way to fit in with the world that was around.
Yeah.
You know, it was never about, you know, getting involved with everything else. And look what happened when they do get involved. They get wiped out. So they were devolved and coasting it. Now she's got nobody and she can't coast. Now we have to see her how she's going to react from that. But I still think she should have been taken.
Yeah. I do feel like, going on what you're saying about how she's like Ezekiel, I do feel the kingdom did a better job of doing that make-believe stuff than what her and her people did.
Well, yeah, that's because they were better structured. You know, they had the full surroundings, where these people just took a normal garbage place, buried themselves in where they can get in and out, and leave it at that.
Yeah, and I feel like they chose to drop certain saying certain
basically where all the other communities were trying to change the world back to normal, they were just going with the flow.
And it was going downward, yeah. And so that was their demise as well. So sticking with that, they leave her there. I was hoping that she was going to go with them, but I kind of agree with what Rick said, actually. I want Rick to be a good guy, but I'm like, when he said, he was like, I'm tired of her games, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I totally agree with you, Rick. I do want her to go with you, but I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, treat her like garbage because she's from a junkyard, but let her go with you. Come on, man. But at the same time, I agree with him.
Yeah.
The scene that is the one of the show that is really the big one is where Jadis has to get out. She has to take out all of her people. What did you think of this, using the giant paper cutter?
Well, even before that, when Rick and Michonne are fighting their way out to the exit, and she grabs the metal chair, she was like, you know, before the whole conversation about take me with you, you know, she's out there and she's standing there talking to both of them. Like, for some reason I said, oh no, this is going to be her death too, because she's in a 90, she's got no defenses, she's paying attention to Rick, and she's focused that chair in front of her, not around her where all the other walkers that are still crawling about.
Yeah, and it's a blunt object. There's no way to defend yourself.
Yeah.
Shield. But I thought she was going to die too if she was going to go. But what did you think about this paper shredder machine that they used to get?
That was a metal crusher.
Metal crusher?
Yeah.
I thought they said it was paper shredder, a giant paper shredder.
No, that's for like the smaller metals. It's not like for automobile stuff, but it's for like microwaves and stuff like that. Things that could actually be chewed up and grinded.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I thought that's what they said.
I gotta go back and see, but the teeth don't seem right for just paper.
They seem pretty damn big.
Yeah.
The teeth were probably about at least 4 to 6 inches.
Now this threw me completely off, and just specifically because of the special effects, because they were so bad. It was so bad, the special effects of the people. So I could not really be like, ooh, like really get into it like I should. And because the effects were throwing me so off, like, oh my god, that's horrible. Like, I was watching a B movie there.
I felt that going in, they did good work on it going in, but coming out.
No. The coming out with the red stuff and the mulch, the pulp, that was awesome. Them going in was bad. When you saw the older guy, I'll use him as an example. When he first went in, and you see his image like fuzzy because it's not perfectly clear, and the digital imagery just didn't fit with the way the machine was going.
Here's the way they could have made it better: is if when they got in there, they could have used dummies of some sort. But also, this is what one of my issues with The Walking Dead is, that we are in the freaking time of HD and 4K and all that, and we are still seeing Walking Dead be shot on a camera that uses a filter to make it look grainy.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of frustrates me, because you have situations like this where you can tell they put a lot of work into it, because when they showed it on The Talking Dead and they slowed it down, you can tell that the timing of the rotors hitting the people's heads and whatnot, they took a lot of time and effort into that. But again, like I said, this is like kind of another thing on top of I wish that they don't have, I get it, you're zombies, you're walkers, you have to be with this type of this theme, but not to the detriment of the quality of video. If I don't know if you agree with me or not.
No, I agree, but I would like to say I don't think the grainy camera is what, you know, deters the special effects. I think the overall special effects for that scene were just bad.
I think it just added to it. I thought it was okay. You know, like it. I thought the stuff that came out of the machine.
It was pulp. That's all it was.
But I thought it was like too fine.
No, you gotta watch that again, because it was not fine. Because
I did think that the B movie part of that was when they showed the painting, and they showed, like, you could tell like somebody's throwing up the stuff on the paint. I was like, oh, that's so B movie right there.
What put me over the top with it being a B movie special effect was when the girl goes in, and the way she went in, and then suddenly out of nowhere her body's sideways and it's getting ripped, and you saw a leg go this way and an arm. I'm like, no, that's so bad. That's so bad.
That was a cool scene, though, in the sense that that's a cool new way to kill him, I would say. But I've been kind of waiting for that to happen at some point, like, you know, like, get a freaking wood chipper and just toss him in there or something, right? You know? Freaking do something.
I thought they did something like that on the farm. I'd have to go back and look. I could have sworn they did that with one of the farm zombies.
I don't recall it, but I've been waiting for something like that, so I like the kill. Okay, so where are we at with this episode? I think that kind of wraps up a lot of the things. We have Jadis going off after she's killed all of her people, traumatized. And
we're forgetting about Negan getting the care package from Maggie.
Oh yeah.
Finally.
So yeah. So he gets the care package. Maggie sacrificed one of the people and sent it in the box. And this is what added to Simon going over the edge, because he said those are my people.
Yeah.
So that's what helped Simon go over the edge and look for any reason to kill some people. I like that Maggie is acting the way she is, because she's you know,
she's no nonsense right now.
She's sacked up right now, and she's like ready to fight fire with fire, because at this moment in her eyes, that's what needs to be done. Everybody keeps trying to fight this fire with something like that isn't it isn't enough.
Yeah.
You know, peace, love, and rainbows is not going to end this fight. It's only going to end with you under Negan's boot. You have to go to a certain extent to squash that fire, you know, and extinguish it, and then you can work on the other stuff. And I think that's where Maggie's at right now.
Yeah. But I think Maggie's on the same trip that Rick is on, to be honest.
Yeah, they kind of seem parallel right now.
Yeah.
And then the people that you have that are not as parallel are Jesus. And the funny thing is that Rick, like we were talking about, was previously, before the whole Carl thing, about how they were talking on The Talking Dead about how bringing him back over to this side of trying to look for the future. Before the mid-season premiere, we both felt that he was on the side of looking for the future.
Yeah.
And how they flipped the coin again, you know? It's so... I thought the whole... how they described the Carl thing was preemptive. Now they need the Carl thing now to bring him back from the Carl death.
Yeah, that's why I think it's going to take that letter.
So... I think that's about it. Any other standout moments from this episode for you, Lynn?
Not offhand. I think we covered most of them.
This one, I like the episode as a whole for the most part. The one thing I didn't like as much that I felt could have been elsewhere was the Aaron and Enid stuff.
Yeah.
Which we spoke about earlier. I bet that would probably go way better in this next episode. You know what I mean? Like, I bet you there's something coming down along the pipe that it could have probably much easier, you know, gone with.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have been a lot easier if they if they would have held off on that.
Now, let me read a little bit about what's going on next episode. It's called it's titled "Dead or Alive or," and in the description is Daryl finds himself in bad company as his group heads to the hilltop. Gabriel's faith gets tested. So, bad company by Daryl finds himself in bad company. What do you think's gonna happen there? They showed a little teaser, and they showed Dwight getting threatened by.
And there's a lot of scenes in there that they showed, like, Dwight wasn't on the up and up with them, like he was setting them up for something.
I don't think he's trying to kill them. I think it's trying to say it's one of those things that you sometimes see in adventure movies where they go, "Look it, nobody would come down this freaking tunnel because it's the most dangerous."
Yeah, but one of the lines that stuck out with me was the whole, "Oh, none of your guys, the saviors, would go into the swamp, but you want us to." And then you see the zombies coming up from the swamp. That pretty much tells me if I'm one of Rick's people and I'm seeing this guy telling me we have to go through there, but none of his people ever did. That's telling me, hey, red alert! Why are we being the stupid ones listening to him if he admitted to us that none of his people ever went in there before?
But it also makes sense though because we've seen it in other properties in TV and movie.
I get that, but I can understand why, suddenly out of nowhere you got guns to Dwight's head and stuff like that, and
it's just like in a video game. You go down this path, the difficulty level 6, but you're gonna encounter even more bad guys. You go down this path, the difficulty of that path is gonna be 9. And you go.
Yeah, but here's the thing. None of your friends have ever gone down low, where the difficulty is level 9. They've all gone 6. So you figure because your friend next to you that you're running the game with says, "Oh no, let's go down 9." Everybody else went through 6. Let's us go through 9.
I'm just saying I understand why he's saying that though, because I'm not following Dwight, but they did show, but with the explanation of bad company, I think that they're alluding to Dwight and how they think he might be double crossing them.
Yeah.
Because of what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're going for.
Yeah, because they definitely made out the trailer to be that way.
Yeah, and Gabriel's faith gets tested. What do you think about that? I mean, they showed a little bit of him as well in the what's coming next week stuff, and he looked like he was still sick. He was still sick.
See, this is the shit that pisses me off because I think Gabriel is the Rick of this season, where if you remember the book, Rick gets shot with the arrow that has the tainted blood from Negan and Dwight, and he gets sick, and everybody's thinking he's gonna die because he's infected. Mind you, everybody's already infected from the beginning. That's no spoiler there. So, but he fights off that fever and what have you, and of course Rick comes back and all that. I think Gabriel's gonna be that central. It's why we still see him sick, why we see him walking around. I think some way, somehow, he's going to be the one who walks this off. Which is stupid, because this is what I wanted from Carl.
I don't know what to expect from Gabriel right now. He's stepped up to the plate a bit recently. In the last few episodes, he's stepped up to the plate with the way he's thinking and talking and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not integral character as what Carl would be doing some of these things, or as Rick would be. So I don't know where they're going with what his faith is getting tested. I mean, I honestly don't. He's already had his faith tested, and he still remains.
Yeah, I think his faith was tested many times over.
Yeah, and he's only gone stronger with his knowing distinction. He knows the distinctive line between where his faith lands and what these walkers are.
Especially when he's a man who, at the beginning when we see him, he's a man fallen from grace. Because remember, he led his parishioners to death.
Yeah.
Because of his weakness. But now he's come along that much stronger, and in being that much stronger, his faith was brought back to him. Yeah, now you're gonna do a complete 180 back to what he was before. Is what you're saying to us?
To me, if that's the case, if they do that, I don't like that one bit, because all right, are you searching for things to make him question himself? Now it feels like you're searching for reasons for it. It's almost like they're searching for reasons to kill Carl. You know, just to say that you need to bring Rick back. Like now you're searching for reasons for Gabriel to have his faith tested.
Yeah.
I think his faith is already gotten to the point where he knows what his faith is. He knows what he needs to preach to his people, but he also knows what walkers are, and he knows that he needs to protect his people, and he's not going to be afraid to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if they truly try to test him, I don't know if that's going to be.
And how many people are going to lose their way? We got Rick, we got Morgan, now we got Gabriel. Like, when's it going to stop? They're supposed to be. This is the season where they're supposed to be all come together as one, joint in a unified, strong front against Negan and the boys. And I'm not getting that. And we're halfway through the season.
Yeah, and we're already now going into episode 3.
The tail end.
We're going into episode 3, so we're almost 3/4 of the way through this season. And so it's kind of like, all right, you guys got to do something soon because you're running out of time.
Yep.
Running out of time. All right, so what are you looking forward to next week? Anything in particular?
Some way, somehow, them to bring it back, make it a little bit more sense. These last 2 episodes don't make sense to me as a whole. And like I told you, I'm writing it out right now. But if, I saw Kirkman on Talking Dead, he was saying how he likes the deviations. I'm sorry, this is one point, my brother, if you don't stop certain deviations from happening, you're not going to have much of a show after this. Because it's going to kill where they can go.
And the thing is, to stick on that point, the deviations, these deviations are very, very strong compared to where we were in like the first couple seasons.
Yeah, it's not
very this way, and then this one is like freaking like that now.
Yeah, it's not like what they did with Andrea, where when we first saw it happen, we were like, wait, what are you gonna do for this part and this and this and this? And they tied it perfectly with Michonne.
Yeah.
But at the same instant, they took away a lot of Michonne stuff and gave it to Carol.
Morgan.
No, they gave it to Carol. Because the whole relationship with Ezekiel, most of that so I can see that. I understand that. It plays nicely. It gives Carol meat to her character. It doesn't just make her one-dimensional. So it made sense for that change, but Carl's a one and only. Carl's like getting rid of Rick. You just don't do that. So where and how? Because the way I see Kirkman's going to finish the book with Carl grown up, leading everything, and the world being at some type of normalcy, which is how I think he'll end the book. But you can't have that now.
Yeah,
and there's so much
they're going with the show.
Yeah, and there's so much of Carl's experiences that are in the later half of the books now that it's hard.
There's going to be a point where we're going to have to, and I think we're coming to that point that point where we have to accept the fact that the show is now, from now on, pretty much everything else is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
I think we're getting very close to this point. I don't know what else in the future, in the next episode or more. I'm not going to say that if they want to go their own direction, they can go their own direction. So I'm not going to say that I hate them for doing it, but we're coming to that point where we got to realize that and accept that, I think. If we don't want to accept it, you don't have to accept it.
No, I agree, but my point is, a lot of the changes you're doing, it's killing your main source of information where you're trying to... You want to still keep the basis of the show going on the same track, if not as close to the same track as what the books are running.
That's what you'd prefer.
No, I'm just saying, however they get there, you got to make sure that the end point should be closely to the same as your main source material. Yeah. It's like somebody who's taking Robin Hood, the literary version of Robin Hood, changing a few aspects to make a TV show out of it, but at the end, don't have Robin die at the end. Shooting the arrow out his window and say, wherever it lands, that's where you bury me. And having Robin have a happy ending. You don't do that, because then the whole legacy of Robin's character is done. So you want to keep as close to that source material as possible, while making it its own thing. I understand that. But if this show makes it past season 10, if it even makes it to 10, I'd be surprised.
They're already writing season 10.
But what I'm saying,
yeah,
because they could be writing it, but fan base could drop off between now and next season, and they might not be called to come back.
Well, the thing is, like, I really hope that with the show, with like this point, like I said, that we're coming to a point where we have to come to the realization that they might just be going their own way now.
Yeah.
That they might actually have an end for the show, which I don't mind if they actually have an end for the show. I don't mind. I don't want to. I'd rather see this show get to a point where there's some finality versus they just cut the show loose and end it because viewership was down. If that makes sense.
No, I agree, but they need to.
I'm at the point where, like I said, I'm there. I'm coming to this realization right now. If people want to accept it, they don't have to. But I really think that they're now coming to this point, and it sucks because there are some really good things in the comic that we wanted to see, and I'm thinking we just might not see them.
We might not see them.
Yeah, we just might not see them now. But we're gonna come back with more information on next week's episode next week, unless you know what we thought about that. Lynn, would you start us off with some goodbyes?
All right, guys. As always, thank you for joining us. Always fun. Always a pleasure. Catch us on everything we do. Of course, you see that right underneath us. It's in the show notes, so don't hesitate. Oh, and all you new subscribers on Sean's stupid Fallout videos, thank you anyway. It's appreciated.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for joining us, you guys. Keep checking out those Fallout videos, the unboxing videos. Check out Lynn's loot videos as well. Make sure you guys do that. I was watching one the other night of yours, Lynn. So
Liar.
You know, oh no, I swear I was. I showed it to my roommates. So,
oh God, your parents.
So yeah, you guys, thank you for joining us. We'll be back with another episode of The Walking Dead review breakdown next week on Tuesday, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
aka Geeks.